Welcome to Answers for Living. We're looking at events that lead up to the Great Tribulation, and we're also looking at events during the Great Tribulation. And we've established that the Great Tribulation begins the day a very powerful man signs a 7-year peace treaty between the people of Israel and the Arab nations. We also said that the very next thing on his agenda will be to establish a one-world government in which he'll rule over as the president. Now, I told you that these are two activities that begin the Great Tribulation. But what's next on God's agenda? Revelation chapter 6, verse 3 to 4 tells us that God has a second seal judgment to open. And a fiery red horse appeared, and the one riding it was given permission to remove peace from the earth, so the people would butcher one another, and he has been given a great sword. Now, this judgment is not war between nations. This is people terrorizing one another, neighbor against neighbor. It'll be worse than anything we have experienced. But we have to acknowledge that we're seeing how it can happen right here in America. With all the riots we experienced in 2020, the burning down of establishments, the destroying of livelihoods, the shooting of people, taking over a city block, defunding the police, even storming our Capitol building. And what we have been experiencing is just a taste of what will happen during the first 1,260 days of the Great Tribulation. Now, please understand this. Once the second seal is opened, it won't go back in the box. It is out for the next 7 years. And so, while other things will cause more terrorism, it'll cause it to increase in intensity. Such as the third seal being opened. Revelation 6 says that a man on a black horse, and he has a balance scale in his hand, and set a quart of wheat for a day's wages and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages. This is a picture of famine, people, spreading throughout the earth. And in those days, you could buy 8 quarts of wheat for a day's wages and 24 quarts of barley for a day's wages. So the famine will remove 7/8 of the food supply from the earth. Now, can you imagine? People are going to go hungry, so they're going to kill their neighbors to get the neighbors' food. Today, we have 690 million people worldwide who go to bed hungry every night. Conflict in the nations is a major driver of hunger. The UN estimates that 122 million of the 144 million stunted children live in countries affected by conflict. An estimated 14 million children under the age of 5 suffer from severe acute malnutrition, also known as severe wasting. Yet right now, there is enough food produced to feed every person in the world. What will it be like in the Great Tribulation when famine comes as judgment and there isn't enough food to feed billions of people even one meal a week?